Welcome back to Checkmate with Blake. We're going to be continuing our Journey to 2000 series. I heard some good comments about this Journey to 2000 series visual that I've uploaded here, so I'm going to go ahead and include it. As you can see, we're now at 5 wins, and we're going to go ahead and continue this. We're going to do a 5-minute game. We are getting a little higher in the ELO, so let's see what we get, and we'll have to maybe speed up a little bit. All right, so we're going to go ahead and respond with the move E5 and just challenge the center. Let's see what they play. So they're going for an early attack. When you see this move, you need to play here, right? So this move covers this, and after this attempt, which is where they're going to play, that's surprising. So usually they play this move to try and continue this checkmate, but because they didn't, I'm still inclined to play this anyway since the knight covers this. However, we do have alternatives. You could play maybe here and hang this pawn. I'm not entirely fine with that. What we're going to do is play here first. So attack the queen, and the queen I imagine will drop to here. Then this move is super challenging because we'll be attacking both pieces. However, is there better? That's what you have to decide in these positions. Because if we go here, maybe they just respond with something like this. Well, no, that would hang the queen. They'd have to respond here. Let me look at this for just a second. I think we're going to do it anyways, and simply because I want to show when they have a bishop like this, it's generally an idea to trade, get the bishop pair. Even if we give up the knight, we'll gain the bishop pair. So they do go here. We could maybe consider further attacking, and then after a move like this, play here and then go back. However, I'm not entirely sure on that. I think we should just go ahead, probably capture the bishop, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's more. We'll go ahead and take the bishop just to show that we can get the bishop pair, and then we'll just develop the bishop here to cover our pawn. So now we cover our pawn, and we prepare to go ahead and develop our knight. Anything that I failed to explain, I will go ahead and cover later too. I think here we should probably just develop, get the knight out. They're dancing around a lot with their queen, which is not what you want to do. Because we have developed all these pieces, and they haven't developed much at all. We're just going to castle, I think. We're going to castle and try to break open the center because they haven't castled. So we're going to try and get our rook over here, and we're going to try and get rid of these pawns. So the first move we're going to play immediately is here, and hope that they take it. Now they don't, but they do weaken this. So let's look how we want to try and face this here. First of all, maybe we can just develop our rook. Obviously, they don't want to take now. Okay. So they're trying to pin our piece. We could play here with the idea of actually moving the queen out of the way. I actually kind of like that. We're going to try it. So we're still protecting this pawn, and we're preparing actually to move our queen out of the way. Okay. They move their queen there. That's not a bad move. Let's see. What do we have? Well, first we have this move, actually. Maybe they're planning to actually go here and try and trade off the bishops, which is not a bad idea. Okay, well, this walks right into this fork. So this is what you should see immediately, is that if we go here, we fork both these pieces. I'm getting a little low on time. I'm trying to explain all these moves. So again, anything I don't cover, I'll go ahead and talk about after. But we'll go ahead and take this piece first. Okay. Let's see. Now we could go for a trade here. That to me is very logical. So let's try and force a trade. It's logical because we're up 2 points of material. So if they don't take, though, this pawn is very weak, which is why we put the queen here to attack it. I don't think it's probably the best move. Most likely, we probably should just develop or maybe even consider this move a4. Okay, so now, though, we can develop, and after they take, we could go here. First, I kind of want to force this exchange. But I could look at, there are some other options. We could also maybe just consider pushing and getting very aggressive. There's a lot of options here. Could also maybe just go here and here. That looks strong to me too. I think we might try that and just see where this line goes. Now they could develop their knight, but here we can actually bring the queen here to try and trade it further. Notice our knight now won't mess up our pawn structure. However, if they hadn't taken, like if they hadn't played this knight move here, we would have actually probably went here to attack the queen. We're looking for trades in this position. Okay, they don't want to trade, but we do, simply because we're up so much material. Now I like this move, attacking this pawn, and if we could win this pawn, we would win this pawn too because of the check. Okay, they castle, but however, that does walk into actually a fork here. We'll win one of the rooks. So we'll go here, pick up a rook, and then maybe consider this move f5 and hopefully and trying to bring our here we go. We'll play f5 and we're trying to bring our bishop in the game if they take. If they don't take, we're fine with it too. Okay. So here I say we take it because they're probably going to take back with the knight and then we're going to pin the knight. That was the plan here. And then now we've got this open file. The knight is still pinned, so there's no reason to take it just yet. Actually, we should just develop. Okay, they're trying to get out of the way, and they are attacking this pawn. We're going to go ahead and put our pawn on a light square. If they move the king, which is what they do, now I'm thinking maybe we should trade. We're trying to trade down our pieces. It's very simple, and just trying to convert this game. Here, we should probably try and double up. So we're just going to play maybe this move. Checking, of course, that we're not blundering anything. And then we'll bring in this one as well. Okay. I'm not entirely sure what that move accomplishes. So we're just going to continue. And try and give this check, followed maybe by this one. Or maybe just it's more practical to simply go here instead. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and play this move. Try and win one of these pawns. We could force an exchange too, which I think actually, for the sake of this video, we're going to do. So notice it's pinned, and we're just going to take this. And if they don't, if they try to go back, well, actually there we might actually be able to throw in this check because the bishop is still pinned. But here now it should be easier to convert. We've got the pieces off the board. This is just a lesson on conversion, simply because, again, we're up so much material that when you're up like this, you really don't need to get fancy. Notice our king, there's no back rank checkmates too because we push our pawns. They do go there, but actually, we may want to just go ahead and double up. There's not really any good square either that they can go to. Yeah, so they try that move, which doesn't work. We take, and we try to take again. Okay, here we can take again. Notice if they go here, though, we may try to just go ahead and trade. Yeah, we'll trade another rook. Now they're going to try and go here, and we're actually going to respond here, so we're just going to eliminate their threat. So after they take, we could also push, too. Instead, though, we can take, because no matter which one they push, we can actually push the other one all the way up the board, because this rook will cut off this file. So watch, we can go all the way up, go here, and they will not be able to stop this pawn. So this is just game over already. They're going to try to attack me again, and we'll just go here, promote. They can't take this pawn because it's protected. Go there, here, and I'm trying to, probably this is just, yeah, I mean, this is just game over right here. So our opponent played a pretty good game, but we're going to go ahead and analyze this. When they play the move e4, we play e5, challenging the center, and they go queen h5. Queen h5 is not a great move. It's bringing the queen out early. And the reason we go knight c6 is actually in preparation for the best move, which is what they should have played, is bishop c4, attacking this and preparing a checkmate. And to that, we would have went g6, and after they go back, you bring the knight out. Notice you're perfectly fine. You're going to go ahead and go here and castle. If they play a move like this, you can always consider knight d4. Let's see, it says it's the best move. However, and generally in this position, they will play this move to kind of prevent the knight. It doesn't matter. You go here, and after, let's say they develop, you castle, you're perfectly safe. However, the reason we play knight c6 and not another move is in this position, if you were to go g6 to attack the queen, you actually lose the rook. Because notice, this king and the rook are both being attacked. So you'll lose the rook, and you'll lose the game most likely. You could consider some other moves, like potentially going d6, but the problem is after this idea, yes, you can play a very similar plan, but notice your bishop's actually locked by this pawn, so it's kind of a passive way to play that I wouldn't recommend. Black still has an edge, but the best move is what we played in the game, which is knight c6. Now here they made a mistake when they went bishop b5. This is already the wrong move. The engine actually wants me to go knight f6, which is very reasonable because this knight still covers the pawn, and this knight now attacks the queen. So it's a very reasonable move. It would have resulted in me not having to fianchetto this bishop. But if you like to fianchetto the bishop, there's really no issue with it. Of course, it's a mistake here because of that. But regardless, we played the move g6. It does say it's an inaccuracy. And now after they go back, we do play this line. Notice if the bishop, though, was on c4, we wouldn't be able to play this line, which is why bishop b5 doesn't make much sense, and they should have played bishop c4 to begin with. Here, though, they go here, they play the best move. And here, I'm not entirely sure if our move was the best, but I think, again, from a human standpoint, and to help you improve at chess, you should probably play this way. So we take the knight. Notice it does say c6, which in the game I did briefly talk about c6 being the best. But their bishop is pretty strong, and by getting rid of the bishop, not only do we eliminate it, but we get the bishop pair. So notice after we take it and they take back, they only have one bishop, we have two. Generally, a bishop is better than a knight, and the bishop pair, getting rid of the bishop pair, significantly weakens the bishops overall, which is kind of more of an advanced concept. But anyways, we take the knight and we develop. Here, I'm perfectly happy with our position. We've got a bishop developed. Although this pawn is being blocked, we have the later plans of f5 and maybe d5 to break open the center. So I'm not opposed to it. We go ahead and go here. That was just trying to create some kind of structural protection. Notice our bishop now is looking at this diagonal, so we don't really need this diagonal to be open. We develop the knight. It wants f5 straight away. That's just a very risky way to play because if they were to take, of course, we do have great bishops, but we haven't castled, and their queen is actually, in line with their king. So if we could try to open that up, which is what was my plan, by going here, trying to maybe move it around and open up this file, then of course we'd win the queen. They go there. There's no problem with it, and we castle. Queen e2, I don't understand much about at all, and we try to break open the center. So the idea being, of course, is if we take, let's say they try something like this. Notice the eval bar hates it because after we take, of course, you could take this way, but I would recommend taking here because you're going to open the king. So even though this is more active and it looks threatening, you should be thinking, how can I open up the king? Because now after they develop, we notice we'll win the queen because it's pinned. So, I mean, even if they were to capture here, you would take, and then take this way. Notice you've got attacks here too. So anyways, try and go back to this position. Queen e2 doesn't make much sense. It's a good thing they didn't take. I don't like the move f3. That to me doesn't make much sense either. They need to be focusing on development. Again, at this elo, you have to focus on development. So we develop our rook, and they try to pin our knight. I think that's a good move. I think bishop g5 was one of my favorite moves I've seen. And then we go c6, simply because we actually want to play this move here. Of course, they actually cut it off, and we still could play this. This isn't a bad move. We're up material, and if they were to trade down this line, we get an open file, and we're up so much material. But I was looking more of going here with maybe this threat now. They develop, but they walk right into a fork, which we easily capitalize on. And now we play this move trying to force the trade. Again, it benefits us because we're up 2 points of material. So being up 2 points of material, we should be able to convert this game if we could just trade all the pieces, which most of my speedrun games have tried to cover that concept. So hopefully you all are grasping it. But anyways, they don't trade, which I think is better. Even though the engine, once queen takes d4, it would just kind of, it's 4.36 for me if they don't trade, and it's 3.8 if they do. So obviously trading is better, but you're going to lose that position most likely because I have more material and I'm going to trade down. We go here. Idea being we're going to attack this queen, and we're going to simultaneously defend this pawn and maybe be able to develop our other bishop easier. They go there to attack the queen, but that does kind of encourage us to go here for this trade. They don't trade it. Again, if they had, we would develop our knight a little better. But since they didn't trade, we just go ahead and trade it anyways. After they take back, which notice they should have taken this way, because you always, if you're going to take, these queens often in like the London system, for example, will stare at each other. And when they do finally capture, you want to take with the rook because you get the open file. Taking this way, and you take towards the center. So, I mean, for multiple reasons, you want to take here. Because let's say something like this, you take towards the center. But they didn't, and they take this way. And we go here, immediately capitalizing on this weakness here. They castle, but unfortunately that walks into a check, followed by a fork of the rooks. You could play this way, but when you move to attack the knight, you're actually wasting a move, because I'm going to capture one of your rooks anyways, and by doing this, it doesn't make much sense. First of all, you're encouraging me to take towards the center. So if you were going to move one of those rooks, Well, really, there's no reason to move either one. But again, you really should use this move. Like if I look at it, let's look at it from White's perspective. What are some moves that you could play that would be better? The engine does like knight c3, but also maybe bishop e3. It says. So considering some of these moves, like maybe going here would add pressure, for example, to this pawn, and then after I take, even though I'm taking towards the corner, you do develop a piece a little better. So that would be my suggestion to this opponent if he ever sees this game. But instead, we go this way and we push open for f4. We're trying to break open the center and trade pieces, which is exactly why we try to pin this knight. We're looking to trade it. And the minute they move their king, we're going to trade it. So we go ahead and play these lines. Of course, now they move their king because they want to move their knight. So now we trade, and then we try to double the pieces. This move doesn't make a lot of sense to me, so we just go ahead and double up anyways, and here we try to attack. They go there. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they're defending this pawn. Maybe that's the whole purpose of this move. But now we can actually pin this. And what I wanted to point out is if let's say they went back here, right? Because they wanted to defend their piece. Notice it's a blunder. We actually can give. First of all, you have this move called attraction. Again, I've talked about briefly, which is you attract the piece over here, so then you can win it. And then anyways, if they went here, you actually have checkmate in one, which is actually crazy to see that on the board. But anyways, that's exactly why in this position they traded, which is actually the best move. We take, and then we double the rooks. Now, you could wonder, why do I not just take the free pawn? You could, but notice after doubling the rooks, first of all, they can't go to any good square. And also, we're threatening to take both of these pawns, of course, with check. So they go there, we take a pawn, and then afterwards, we take another pawn. And after they go here, we just look to trade the rooks again. You could argue to take this pawn, but then after maybe the king gets in, they could have some fighting chances, although it's pretty much over. But instead, we just simplify even further, and after they go here, we just trade the pieces, and we clean up the game. This is another simple tactic to understand, is that, you can use a rook to just cut off the king. So in a lot of positions, even if you don't have a passed pawn, using the rook to cut off a king, maybe to activate your king, is a good suggestion. So like, for example, if we didn't have this pawn, this rook would be really good on this file. Notice, because our king could maybe come in here and go and win this pawn, and then run up, so run up this way and win these two pawns. So actually, if we didn't have this, we would just do the same tactic this way. But anyways, we go here, we queen, and we didn't have a ton of time, so I probably had a faster checkmate, but that's the one I found pretty quick. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave some comments on some things you'd like to see next, and thank you all for watching.